Marie. Y'all, I wanted to jump on here. I'm actually in my car. I just walked out of a meeting with a trades business, and I wanted to chat with you all about something that was just percolating in my mind after that conversation. Y'all, I came in and talked to them about how they should be looking at their marketing. And it was really cool because as I was sharing the approach, their eyes lit up. And one gentleman in particular, it was like he got it. He clearly saw the benefit of what we're about to talk about today. And they went from, just around 10 million to $30 million in 1 year. So they're killing it, and they're hardly doing any digital marketing and hardly any traditional. They have grown solely on the backs of door knocking. And y'all, I've seen this a couple of times where businesses have actually really narrowed down, niched down in terms of marketing. They've focused on doing one thing well. They've blown up, and then they start looking at all these other options, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, the sky's the limit. There's so much we can do here. But then they stop doing the very thing that got them to that place in the first place. So Jim Collins, in his book, From Good to Great, talks about don't stop doing the thing that made you a good company on your pursuit to being a great one. And that was one of the main things that I was encouraging them as we were talking was, let's actually first, maybe not even first, but in tandem with these new activations, these new channels, these new opportunities, first, let's make the good thing that's working so well, let's make that great. And then we'll start doing the other things, do the other things well, get them to good, and then we can, in isolation, make things great one by one. Because if all of a sudden we're trying to make everything great, things are going to be lost in the process. And so often the very thing that worked and got us here in the first place goes, because we just don't hold the respect and the integrity of it. I was reminded of, and part of, what we talk about here on this show is not just how to have a great company, but how to be a great leader, how to be a great partner and husband and father and mother. And y'all, the thing is that who we are in the boardroom, who we are on the job site so often is the one that we take home with us. So the quality of who we are translates across the board. And the reason why I bring this up is because as we're looking at growth, as we're looking at scale, we cannot forget the very tenets and the things that got us there in the first place. And it's the reason why I brought up the relational piece is because I was listening to a podcast a couple weeks ago, and this blew my mind in the most simple ways. Don't forget the things that you're not complaining about. And that goes for the business. Don't forget the things you don't have to worry about anymore, because those so often are the very things we can begin neglecting on our pathway to building a great company, especially when we're trying to scale and grow quickly. And so as we're on this pathway to 10xing, isn't that the goal? If we're looking to sell, if we're looking to maybe succeed the business, having clarity over and over and over again of these are the core tenets. This is the foundation. This is the foundation of who we are. This is the foundation that will get us no matter how big we want to get to, but this is the foundation that will get us to the growth we're looking for and sustain it. That doesn't mean that there's not additional, it's like a house we're building. We've got the core foundation. That doesn't mean we're not going to have additions later on and thus add to the foundation. But so often what I've seen is that in the desire for scale, especially rapid scale, we end up forgetting the core tenets of the foundation that made us good in the first place on our pathway to be a great company. And so as we're talking, as we were sitting together, and I'm outside their office, as we were just sitting in the boardroom in there, let's focus on getting that one thing that's already so good, get that to great, and also start launching other activations. There's no digital marketing, which is super exciting because the world's, literally, like it's their oyster. There's so much opportunity. And so we're talking about Google LSA. If you're not on Google LSA, that's such low-hanging fruit. One of the things I love best about LSA, and it's Google Local Service Ads. So it's effectively Google says, hey, when a customer or homeowner is looking for a company, it will say, hey, these are the companies near you in the maps section. So it's, when you type on Google, it's the maps, and it shows all the businesses right there with their star rating and their address. You can pay to show up higher than your competitors there. And you can also show up organically. in the map pack is what it's called. But Google LSA, local service ads, allows for you to ensure that you're showing up every time with consistency. You can make sure that all those reviews that hopefully you're getting are being put to good use, because people are looking at who's ranking first and then what are the reviews, what's being said about them. And so local service ads is a really easy place. And the reason why I say easy is because there's not a ton of like technicality that goes into running a local service ad, as opposed to a paid traffic campaign, a PPC campaign. That's pay per click campaign. That has a lot more technicality to it. And so usually you'll kind of want some hand holding. But with LSA, that's something that most of us literally go to ChatGPT, ask, how do I launch a local service ads campaign? And then you can start putting some dollars behind it. You can say, I want to pay this much per week. I want to pay $400 per week and just see what happens. You have to put in your business license. So you do need to be a certified business. But really, there's a lot of opportunity there if you're willing to pay a little bit. And the best part about local service ads, you can go in and pay for only the ones that turn into appointments. So you're paying per appointment. You're not paying per click. You're not even paying for the lead. You're paying for the appointment, which is awesome. But it does require a little bit of hand holding, because what you'll need is that Google will charge you. And then at the end of every month, you'll go in and say, hey, these 10 people didn't turn into an appointment. And then Google will apply those credits to the next month. So it just takes, somebody paying attention to that to make sure that you're not spending money. LSA is probably one of the best investments. In addition, and I just want to say this for good riddance, make sure that the thing that's working. What's your golden goose? We all have a golden goose, and we need to know what that is. What is the predictable action that our company takes to constantly bring in high quality leads? You grew your business to where you did for a particular reason. And you know what? I grew my business by way of referrals. I had a couple companies that were constantly giving me clients. Same thing with our family painting business. We had a general contractor that loved us as a sub. And so we grew exponentially thanks to them. So they're a golden goose. And how do we maintain that relationship? And let's also replicate that golden goose. Where there are other potential relationships and partnerships there. Here's the thing. We're B2C. Business to consumer. Our homeowner is our audience in so many ways. And so what my dad did brilliantly was he thought, I'm not just B2C, I'm also B2B. How can I go and become a sub to a contractor who's servicing homeowners, but they've got a bigger brand, they're maybe louder in the market, and they're a general contractor. At the time, he was just, he didn't have his GC license. So how can we take what's working, really study it, analyze it, and then blow gasoline on that, get more fire from that golden goose. And then, yes, let's try to invest in other modalities and mediums to increase additional lead flow. But y'all, too often we go looking outside rather than looking inside the company, seeing what's working and then investing more in that. So that's what I just wanted to jump on here and share. That's such an important lesson for us as we're looking to build our business. I was listening to Good to Great again, just because it's such a quality book. If you guys haven't listened to it, highly recommend. Wayne, good to see you. I love this. I helped build a business in Florida on a landscaping business. I did all the marketing. Nice. That's awesome. Wayne, I would love to hear from you on that in terms of what you found that worked. I don't know if you want to put in the chat here, but would love to hear what were some of the tactics you did. Y'all, here's something that's interesting, Wayne, while you put that in. And just so you guys know, Wayne's in the chat on YouTube. Here's one of the things that's interesting is that what works in one market. So we're talking about picking the golden goose in your business, what consistently brings leads over and over and over again over the years, despite the seasons. We've got our golden goose. And then focus on that. How can we replicate it? How can we blow more steam on this, breathe more life into it to gain more and glean more from what's already working, what's already good? How do we make what's good great? And then to Wayne's in here in the chat. You're talking about Florida. It is interesting because sometimes the golden goose in one territory is going to be different than the golden goose in another. So this is where data comes in and is so incredibly important. Is your business able to track where the leads are coming from? And, here's something that's interesting. And I will say this because there's nuance here. It is so difficult if you're doing digital marketing, and that includes YouTube, Google, anywhere online, even a digital billboard, versus comparing traditional marketing. For example, one of our clients, we sponsored a MBL team and people loved it. Now, here's the thing. If they come from sitting in the stadium, they see our ads, but then they go to Google and type in our company name or type in home service company and our ads show up, but they recognize our name, Google's going to take attribution for that. Whereas for them, if we say, hey, how did you hear about us, Joe Smith? And he says, oh man, I saw your ad at the Cardinal Stadium. It's like, sweet. But now we've got 2 attribution points, which means effectively attribution is like, where did this come from? What's the source? And so as we're looking at the data, we need to not only take into consideration some of the local things we're doing in a territory versus, there might be one MLB player in one state or MLB team in one state, another in another state. Maybe we do an ice hockey team in another state. The thing about attribution is I want to hear where the customer thinks they heard about us. And I also want to hear, where did they actually come from? Did they click on a Facebook ad or did they come from Google? I want to know that as the marketer. And I also want to know what the customer has to say, because our goal is to build a rapport, build a relationship. Harry, good to see you from Here We Go. I'm sorry. Here We Go, LLC Cleaning Services. Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out with us. This conversation around attribution probably warrants a separate chat, because this is really, there's a lot here regarding attribution, but I do want us to be mindful and intentional to pay attention to what are the leads saying, where are our potential customers saying they saw us, heard about us, and then where are they actually coming from. But we need to make sure we've got data for both, because that is so incredibly important, that we've got the CRM, the actual data being captured, especially if you're looking to scale. What is working where we're putting our money? Talk about return on investment. We can get a general idea, but man, the more specific we can get with tracking, the better. And I think that's it for today. I don't want to go too far afield. Y'all, From Good to Great, really, really good book by Jim Collins. Focus, and if you don't know yet, find out your golden goose. What is the thing over and over that has built your business to where it is today? Of course, there's like, well, we did this and we did this, but what is the one thing? If you were going to take your business brand and do a random state, pick it, and then start there, what's the one thing you would do? For this company, I'm sitting outside of their office, they would knock on doors. And for the other company that I worked with just recently, they started knocking on doors, and now their salesmen will not touch it, because marketing is giving them all the leads. But y'all imagine it, if marketing gave them a lead at one place in, let's say, Merriweather Way. They're on Merriweather Way Street, going to Susan King's house for an appointment. Let me come and look at your foundation, or let me look at your pool. Well, I'm going to go to every other house on Merriweather Way and say, hey, I was just at Susan King's house, checking out her pool, checking out her foundation, checking out her roof. Do you mind if I actually take a quick peek? Or maybe you actually look over the rail, or maybe you actually check out the roof or check out the foundation beforehand. And then you say, hey, I was actually walking by on my way out, or driving by on my way out. I just wanted to swing by and let you know, did you know that some of your shingles are falling? Or did you know that, etc. Guys, here's the thing. Marketing can do so much. It is so powerful, but marketing and sales need to be working together. Let's not forget the power of traditional knocking on doors, picking up the phone, saying, hey, can I bring coffee and breakfast to your office? I did that a couple weeks ago. My dad and I went and brought coffee and breakfast to an office, and we told them about our painting business, because we wanted to be subs for them. Guys, we have to build relationships. It is a relational business. Everything to do with the trades, everything in regards to construction. You're going into people's homes, or you're somehow representing another company, whether you're the GC, you're representing the owner and developer, you're representing yourself and the hard-earned reputation of your brand. The way that we show up matters so, so, so much. And it's not, marketing is never just the sign. It's never just the ad copy. It is who you are as an organization. What is your who that translates into the service that you offer? Wayne says, so we went door to door. I had flyers made and I could hang them on the doorknobs, instant quote. Oh, on the door, instant quote, and use a highlighter with a map to track the areas I had been. Nice. I love that. What an I love the idea of the instant quote on the tracker. What an interesting idea. If you were to like give them the instant quote, I don't know, you kind of remove the personal element if you were to give them the instant quote before they talk to you, but I love that. That's so cool. Y'all, thank you for joining me. I promise to keep these conversations under 15 minutes every day. So I'm going to go ahead and jump, but thank you so much for joining me. I will be back on tomorrow. I might have a guest, but I don't recall whether I do. So I'm going to go ahead and jump. But if you guys have anything you want us to talk about specifically, I think tomorrow we're talking about LinkedIn, unless I have a guest. But my goal is to really serve, looking at my dad's company. My brother and I came in as fourth generation, and just, man, we were able to help so much so fast. But man, my dad did it all by himself and he killed it. He did the most incredible job, and he was doing it in isolation. Community is way better, and learning from what other people have done and failed and also won helps us just grow so much faster. So that's why we have these conversations. I'm Christene Marie. Let me know if you'd like to talk about something specific. I'm able to take multiple hats and wear them, but